been about 5 years since Lucid Motors started work on their first passenger vehicle, the Lucid Air. And whilst the Air came out back in 2021 to much acclaim, not least from us, we named it our 2022 Car of the Year, there was always the sense that Lucid's second vehicle would be the one to propel the company to new heights. Well, now the covers are off. So here it is, the Lucid Gravity, the company's second new product after their wicked fast and gorgeous sedan, the Lucid Air. And this time, Lucid aren't starting from zero. They're taking those 5 valuable years of production, manufacture and driver feedback that they have from the Air sedan and going after the biggest area of the car market in America and around the world, the SUV. The Gravity is a full-size electric SUV available in either 5 or, as with this one, 7 seat configurations. Lucid aren't revealing full specs of the Gravity just yet, but what we do know is this. There are going to be at least 2 battery configurations, a standard and an extended range model, as well as both single and dual motor versions. We weren't told overall power figures, though we were told that the motor units being made for Gravity are capable of up to 670 horsepower. Whilst those units are in essence the same as the ones Lucid use in the Air, the gearing has been altered to deal with towing and, Lucid claim, genuine off-roading. Really though, this was a chance to get up close with the Gravity's exterior design and interior spaces. So let's dig in. First things first, let's talk about the design, and really there is a lot to talk about. Far be it from this to just be a Lucid Air on stilts, and actually the guys that we spoke to here about the car made a very big point of saying this is not a Lucid Air raised up, and they mean that both in terms of the design but also in terms of the platform. This car has its own unique, bespoke Lucid Gravity platform. Yes, they've taken some of the architectural elements of the Air, but everything has been re-engineered, remanufactured specifically for Gravity, and you can see that when you look at the car's design. Where the Lucid Air was a slippery, sleek bar of soap, this car still has that, yes, but it's got a far more muscular sense to it, I think. With its high beltline and low roofline, it is all at once big and yet somehow compact. They wanted this to have almost, as they described to me, a bullet train-like appearance at the front, which I think is such a cool way to think about this car, especially when you consider the aerodynamic element, which we'll come to in just a moment. As we move down, we come to the first of 2 sets of really big, broad, muscular shoulders, and also the wheels. The wheel design, well, that's nothing special, but the size. Now, they're staggered wheels. You can either have 21s and 20s, 22s and 21s, or 23s and 22s. You're really going to be able to fill out those wheel arches, which, by the way, are in the middle right now of 3 different variable ride heights. So this right now is in the middle. We expect it to raise up a little bit. The guys made a big focus of wanting to make sure that this vehicle, when needed, could go off-road, but it'll also drop down low. And that's because, and this is very impressive, this car's drag coefficient is sub 0.24. That's incredibly impressive for an SUV. So the ride height, it's adjustable. You can adjust it yourself. It'll also variably adjust depending on the speed at which you're traveling and the conditions that you are in. So that's very impressive. Let's continue down. Now that I'm stood here next to the side of the Lucid Gravity, you begin to see, I think, the scale we're working with. It's a very interesting thing because this vehicle has the exterior proportions of, I don't know, like an Audi Q7 or something like that, maybe a Range Rover Velar. It's not incredibly tall. I'm about 6 foot tall and I can see right over the top of it. However, on the inside, this car has the cargo space and the interior space, the dimensions for the passengers, equivalent to a large Cadillac Escalade. I mean, that's kind of crazy when you think about it, but that just shows the level of engineering that has gone into this car and the way that the design and the engineering have come together and works together to make this a very, very appealing package. So continue with me down here. As you can see, almost as soon as we're past the B-pillar, that roofline starts to taper back. We get to the second of the 2 big shoulders of this car, and actually, when you get down and look at it, they stick out. It's like, I don't know, a Porsche Turbo or something. There's a good kind of 8 inches of stick out there. That's pretty cool, isn't it? This beautiful C-pillar detail here, and by that point, you can see the rake of this roofline. I mean, it's very dramatic. Dramatic and, I think, gorgeous. The tail end of this car is a masterclass in minimalist design, with a single lensless light element running the entire width of the car. framed by the sleek rear window and the large rear hatch. Speaking of which, storage is looking great in the Gravity with a claimed 112 cubic feet of storage in the 7-seater version, which has full fold flat second row seating and third row seating which can be packed down completely into a space under the Gravity's trunk. And there's yet more storage in the frunk, which is not only a great and secure place for storing things, but which can, with the aid of this cushion accessory, also be transformed into bench seating for two, for front gating, as Lucid calls it. Okay, join me, if you will, in the driver's seat of the Lucid Gravity, where lots has changed, even though on the surface, when you look at it, you go, oh yeah, okay, it's a Lucid, but no, lots has changed from the Air. Allow me to explain. The first and most prominent thing that you're faced with is the steering wheel, which, well, it's certainly not a wheel, it's not a circle, but it's also not a square. I heard someone call it a squircle earlier. I don't love that, but whatever. It's a beautiful steering wheel, I will say. Driver individualization is the name of the game in here, where you can move and change pretty much everything within the UI to suit the driver's specific needs. 2 touch tablet controls on the steering wheel allow for near infinite controllability without having to remove your hands from the wheel, and there are even programmable multi-function buttons for you to dedicate to whatever you're going to need quick access to. The real focus of this interior, though, is what Lucid call their clear view cockpit, which, regrettably, is where we come back to the squircle. Being a square, or rather having squared off edges here, doesn't interfere with this 34-inch screen, which, again, looks very much like a Lucid Air screen, but is slightly different. So that's very nice. I can see the entirety of the screen. I'm not having to peer through the steering wheel like you would on any conventional circular steering wheeled vehicle with the big screen. The second screen is here, just like in the Lucid Air, although it has been shifted up a bit. It's been rotated, so this is a horizontal screen as opposed to a vertical screen, and it's fixed. It doesn't do the little movie thing like it did on the Lucid Air. The reason for that, of course, was because there was that brilliant cargo storage area underneath, and you needed to be able to access that, and in order to do that, the screen had to be able to fold up and down. This no longer is required because Lucid have put a lot of effort into this beautiful cargo space area here, which is deep and cavernous and has all these little bento box configurations, so you can really customize it and go, oh, you know what, I need 4 cup holders, and I need a big deep space here, and I need a little thing under here to keep things secure. The design of this is also very nice. Of course, it's typically Lucid. We've got a mixture of Napa leather and beautiful textiles which are made of reclaimed materials, recycled fishing nets and things of that nature, but we've also got this gorgeous tempered glass. This is going to be standard on all Lucids, not just this launch Dream Edition, but it's beautiful, and the guys tell me it was based on a design of a mid-century modern coffee table that the guys in the office thought was a particularly beautiful and pure piece of design. Isn't that cool? Across all 3 rows, space is in abundance, as is storage and connectivity, with the second row receiving its own independent multimedia screen, not dissimilar to the one we just saw in the Tesla Highland, and tray tables for your electronic devices. And everything is capped by this beautiful LED filament, which actually runs in a kind of a loop around the front, and then also there's a secondary one that runs right around the back. I know that most every premium car today has an LED light running through its interior, but in the Gravity, Lucid are putting it to use. One of the inherent things about EVs is you have to sit in them idle for a while they charge. So with that in mind, Lucid have put a great amount of detail and thought into curating this space and making this space beautiful and serene for the driver and the passengers. So we've got things like mindfulness applications, we've got meditation modes in here, all of the lighting, all of the Dolby Atmos surround sound, stereo speakers, and of course these 2 beautiful screens all adjust and will bring up beautiful images of national parks, and the lighting signatures will match those, and the sound that comes through the speakers is that of birds chirping and leaves rustling. It's really nice in here. I must say, I am a big fan of what Lucid have done with the Gravity's interior. Overall, the Gravity's design is, I think, really nice. The interior feels like a conscious step up from the Air, and with the exterior, I enjoy how they've leaned into the upright slab-sided look, but have worked to sculpt, smooth and taper those lines in service of reducing the drag coefficient wherever possible. On that subject, Lucid say they're shooting for over 440 miles of range with the long-range version of the Gravity, a feat they claim to be achieving through slick aerodynamic engineering, not by doubling the size of the battery packs to account for the evident weight delta between the Air and the Gravity. Whilst we know that EVs are less harmful to the environment than combustion cars, energy is still energy, and regardless of the medium, the less we can consume, the better. That said, Lucid did also say that they're aiming for a sub 3.5 second 0 to 60 time in the Gravity, so it seems you'll still be able to spend your electrons freely, if you so wish.